Donald Trump has launched an official meme coin called Trump Official.
I was actually trading a little bit on the weekend when Trump released his coin, but I wasn't watching Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why is everything going down? And then lo and behold.
What's the impact of his presidency going to be over 4 years? And from my perspective, I don't really care what happens today, next week, over the next 3 months, but over the next 4 years, I think it's going to mean a lot of opportunity for market and establishing market still that we're in.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Tapping Into Crypto podcast. You're with me, Pav, and Tommy. Mate, welcome back again. What have we got? 3 in a row now, I think.
Is that 3 in a row?
I think so. If we count the one last year, I got 3. It's good.
I'm still carrying over some of my quota from last year. So,
Yep.
Look, we're on track. Good
We're on
start.
track.
Good start to the year.
Mate, I don't even know what to make of this weekend.
Yeah. Who's that? Or a guy that you used to get on before?
I think his name was Tad.
A tad bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nah.
Fair enough.
No, but we'll miss
Love
Ted. We'll see him again soon. He's finishing up his holiday in South America, so I'm sure he'll have a wicked tan line. So
Yeah.
look forward to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely shocking. He's whiter than me.
Is he?
Yeah.
We'll have to get a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. No, people don't want to see that. Anyway, what are we talking about?
Mate, well, what aren't we talking about? It's been
It's
a
true.
pretty ridiculous timeline this last, it's not even been 7 days, to be honest. Like, where do you start, right? So, obviously, a couple of key things we've seen, like Donald Trump come into the White House, do the inauguration ceremony. We're not going to harp on too much about politics, but unfortunately, it is just contagion effect right now of what's happening in the crypto space in terms of the wash of news. We've had meme coins be released by Trump, Melania, God knows who's next, probably Donald Trump Jr. They're all seemingly launching meme coins that have been the most successful on record, launching billions of dollars in valuation within less than 24 hours. We've seen Gary Gensler out the door, and not soon after, I think we had this meme coin craze, and we also had, I think, up to half a dozen ETFs also be pushed through as well. So an absolute agenda being shown there.
Oh.
I think a lot of them to do with XRP and Solana.
Yeah,
so are you going
huge.
to say?
No, I was just going to say, I guess it's this very heavily US-driven narrative for this podcast episode, but
Yeah.
I think it's we can't skip over the just the impact. I don't know what you were doing. It feels like one of those moments, like what were you doing when moments.
I kind of feel the same. That's like when that thing launched, and I was actually trading a little bit on the weekend when Trump released his coin, but I wasn't watching Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why is everything going down? And then lo and behold.
So
it's
yeah,
crazy.
I guess a bit of context for people that
Yep.
maybe haven't heard about it
Yeah,
is
that's a good point.
Donald Trump has launched an official meme coin called Trump Official.
Yeah, it's official.
It's official. And it kind of happened Aussie time, kind of started to happen like Friday evening. We started to hear rumors about it, and then there was a lot of over and back kind of discussion across Twitter from what I could see on if it was legit or not.
Because
So
it could have easily been a hack, right? We've seen that before.
It definitely initially seemed like it might have been a hack of some sort. And the market did what the market generally does when there's any kind of, I guess, something new and a new type of narrative to latch onto.
It was very shiny.
And it was very shiny, absolutely. But essentially, over the course of the next, I would say, 48 hours, what was the $1 billion value number Pav, that was accrued?
Probably going to get this wrong, but I think got up to 14. Did it get up to 14 billion? Well, I probably should have come more
Huge.
prepared.
Yeah, let's get that number.
Yeah.
But essentially, an absolute influx of capital came in for that asset. It was trending on every single platform globally. Trump eventually did come out and say that, this is a thing. This is official. So it was kind of confirmed. You've seen a spate of the largest kind of crypto liquidity providers, exchanges, platforms. SwiftX got it launched on Sunday as an example. We've seen Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin, all of the big players kind of come out and say that they were going to list it, and that's kind of subsequently happened between last Friday and time of recording today being on the 21st.
Yeah,
So,
it's just nuts. Look at the numbers, 14 billion? Yeah, 14 billion.
Yeah. Well done, Pav. Good guess.
So, well, it's pretty close. Obviously I guess you could call it the most successful launch of a meme coin in history.
Yep.
There's nowhere to really start with this one, to be honest.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
From a numbers perspective, I guess, some of the cool things that we did see on Twitter is people were turning
Oh man.
$1,000 into,
Couple
hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. So it's, huge opportunity. Obviously not everybody wins in a trade like that. And it is quite opportunistic.
Yep, sure.
But essentially I think on the decentralized exchanges, it launched at about 20 cents US. The first time I seen it on a centralized exchange, it was at $4 US. And we've seen it hit, I want to say, around $80 US.
Yep.
In the space of 2 days. So that is absolutely exponential growth. That is lunacy. For want of a better word, it's absolute lunacy. So.
I can't verify if it's 100% fact, but there are rumors circulating on Twitter that this now accounts for up to 90% of Donald Trump's wealth.
Yes, I have seen statements like that around.
But at the same time, we've seen it retrace about 50-60%. So also it's come back down quite a bit. But it kind of serves as a pretty interesting test case for what happens with meme coins and political figures like this. Well, we just say influential people in the world, right?
Huge.
I actually think, shout out to Ted, he actually called what would be the next biggest catalyst for crypto. He said Trump launching a meme coin. So well done, Ted.
Yeah,
you don't hear that very often from me.
It's kind of on the same, I guess, narrative around the Doge, that new body or new organization that kind of has been formed, and that's what he announced. And then Elon Musk, I think, is part of it. So it's kind of he was definitely on the right track.
The signs were there.
But in terms of value, I guess as the time of recording, we're on the 21st now. The market's obviously pulled back quite sharply. Trump's now been sworn in. The market has expected, which the market always does this. Why does it do it every single time, Pav? I don't know. Can you answer the question?
Just people want more.
People want more. But essentially, at day zero, at minute one, at hour one, people expect, oh, this is it. The market is on. It's going to pump forever now. And obviously, a lot of this stuff is priced in beforehand.
Yep.
So I think the market, from my perspective at least, the market is reacting to not having that. One, Trump not mentioning crypto in his inauguration speech, which is something that was kind of floated around quite a bit.
Yep.
And then two was that, we haven't seen the instant sugar hit of the market kind of spike. In saying that, we did see pretty heavy spikes in hours leading up to the inauguration. Bitcoin spiked at a brand new all-time high.
Smash through 110K.
109 almost, or 100.
Exchanges are different, but a new all-time high
between about 110 USD, which is great to see a new all-time high put in prior. Some people were obviously expecting that to just continue and keep going and going and going, and it hasn't happened.
Really frothy.
And we've pulled back about 10% on Bitcoin now from that price. So we're back to about 100K, maybe 101K at the time of recording. So, I'll take a breath. A lot of things. 102.
Thank you,
producer Lee has just told us that there's 102. So I wasn't too far away, but it's all right.
Yeah.
But I'll take a breath now because I've been talking a lot and quite building up a bit of excitement. But there was a lot to unpack between, I guess, where we are today, sitting in the chair on Tuesday, and what kind of happened and played out since Friday. So, what does it mean? What does it mean for us? I hear people saying that this changes the game, changes a lot of things about how we look at the industry, look at the market. There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like we kind of talked about before, I think the market was just expecting this was it, like we're off. So it all started speculating, price went up, people chased, everyone got bent. Like it's pretty, I think just as soon as we realized, or the realization set in that crypto wasn't part of that first round of bills being pushed through the Senate, or at least an agenda item, it affected sentiment quite negatively because price went up on the back of potentially positive sentiment, right? So I think this week is a big week. I think by the time this podcast releases, which will be Thursday, there's a pretty big sort of catalyst that will sort of be squared away. We have the US debt ceiling crisis, which always happens about a week after every presidential election as well. There's already pushes for quote extraordinary measures to be taken. So basically raising that debt ceiling, which allows the US to go into more debt, which is going to be likely a good outcome for crypto because that usually results in the US dollar tumbling in valuation, which makes it easier for crypto to go higher, all that sort of usual stuff. We talk about money printers turning on. So, and by that stage, I think if the market has caught a whiff of what are Donald Trump's plans with this strategic reserve or everything else surrounding it, I mean, even his son's tokens, the World Liberty Finance, has been capturing more and more attention. I think they sold out their token allocations. It's just kind of feels like a melt up is coming, but it's just I think everyone trying to catch exactly when it's going to happen. A lot of people getting burnt right now, so that's what it feels like to me.
We touched on it last week, right? We talked about what's happening right now pretty much last week. We said there's going to be some volatility. The market will not make it. The market doesn't make a decision that quickly. I think there's some of those catalysts that I talked about a second ago. Not mentioning the speech and then the market not kind of pumping. We'll know a bit more as I guess the next few days play out. He has a list of a couple of hundred, I believe, executive orders on his desk. I
think it was 200
that he's going to be
day one,
essentially going through and signing off on, or however that looks like, whatever that looks like. So there'll be lots to play out between even now and when this podcast is released. I think what I just want to go back to and what we talked about last week was we know what Trump kind of stands for. He's a money guy. He's a business guy. He's going to do everything within his power, and you can almost quote this exactly from last week on the podcast, but he's going to do everything within his power to try and generate profitability for businesses, stimulate the economy. That's his kind of measure of success, right? He always kind of plays on these things, getting more people money, getting Americans in a position, and America as a nation in a position to generate their own economy. And then he's talked about immigration and all these types of policies. We won't get into the politics. We're trying not to. It is hard at times, but I guess it for me it's a zoom out effect. What's the impact of his presidency going to be over 4 years? And from my perspective, I don't really care what happens today, next week, over the next 3 months, but over the next 4 years, I think it's going to mean a lot of opportunity for a market, an establishing market still that we're in. And it's the first, it boils down to, we have the first kind of president in power that is pro our industry. So that means
Bitcoin
something.
president.
That means something, right? And that might not have the short-term sugar hit that people want for market, but long-term, I think that establishes. Huge. And I think what will be built around our industry over the next 4 years is something that will be a good concrete baseline for the next person that comes in as well to push it forward, as opposed to just cutting all ties with it, right? I think it's too deeply embedded now. Even before Trump, we're starting to get some traction, right? We're starting to get some hold. Some great businesses have been built. I think what Trump will help build, hopefully, and promote that innovation over the next 4 years will be substantial and will set us up for long-term prosperity. But it doesn't come linear. It happens. We have our cycles, and we'll continue to track up and down with volatility.
Yeah, and on that point too, like the interest that Bitcoin was getting pre-inauguration wasn't just retail. It wasn't just the average punter.
That's right.
We saw Bitcoin ETF volume surge, almost $1 billion day last Friday. So that hasn't been seen for quite some time. So again, just positive tailwinds coming with all of this. I just don't really know where this goes next week. I feel like we're just going to be...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a big week.
I'm not worried. Like if we're sitting here next week and Bitcoin is at 120k and everything is pumped around it, I'm not concerned. But also if we're at 80k and everything is dropped, we are entering a kind of a new phase.
Yep, I agree. Feels like it.
It feels like we're entering a new phase, and not everyone's going to like everything about what's happening, but it's kind of like change, right? Change. Not everyone is comfortable with change, but it's a kind of, it has its moment in time, and then you move forward, and we start to look forward to the positive opportunities for all of us.
I think one thing I think you and I would like remember quite vividly about 4 years ago today, things start to happen very quickly from here. Change happens faster than what people expect. People are waiting for certain things to happen to be able to enter the market, and it just happens, right? That's right. Spontaneous. Yep. So that's the only other sort of, I guess, I don't even know if it's a piece of wisdom or what it is, but that's something I remember experiencing very vividly, thinking I had more time to do things in the market.
We talked about the last cycle specifically. We talked a lot about the blow off top that never came, right?
Yep.
And we were like, we're waiting for the blow off top, and it happened every time before that, but then it didn't happen on top of the last cycle. That movement that happened, I think it was, what day are we today? Tuesday. The movement that happened, I think it was on Sunday night.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a blow off top type start of movement that I saw, where Bitcoin, I think, went from about 100k up to that all time high, which was about 109, in just straight line vertical elevator green candles up. That was something where I was like, I started to think about that blow off top moment again, and whether that was, well, one was, is this it, or is this coming?
It's a bit scary when
It
it's
doesn't happen
pre-inauguration as well.
Exactly. It doesn't happen in hours.
Yep.
But then I started to think about, well, maybe these types of moves still exist in the market, because we were kind of testing our own theory, right? Going back in the last cycle and everything else. So lots to play out, but it is definitely, it's just a great time to be involved in the market. It's a great time to have eyes on the market, and let's see what direction it goes next.
What do you make of the Phantom outage or the Solana network outage during that time? Did you see that? The noise?
I wasn't interacting with it on dexes, or I wasn't transferring Solana over the weekend really. So it didn't impact me directly, but I definitely seen a lot of stuff across Twitter, a lot of stuff on just general sentiment was that the network was not scaling well, to put it lightly. Fees were gone high, so it just brings you back to Ethereum, right? Like it feels like Ethereum in the DeFi summer, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, about that. Yeah,
it fees went to, I remember paying $150 USD for $1,000 trade on Ethereum on Uniswap or wherever it was back 4 years ago.
Yep. And
it kind of reminds me of that. Obviously, it's not Solana's still not as expensive as that, but it went, I think, $30 or $40 a transaction, which is for Solana. It's insane. Yeah. And then not even that. It was just the transactions were actually failing a lot of the time. So issues there is a lot of time your transaction will like phantom confirm but then fail, so you've actually paid your fee but you get nothing for it. So that's the part that really pisses people off, and would you as well, I guess. So
yeah, it definitely gave the Eth Maxi something to talk about. I feel like that's all I was seeing on the Twitter timeline. Definitely.
It
was good to see everyone just jabbing each other.
A little bit of stones been thrown from glass houses and things. Is that what you mean, Pat?
Pretty much. Like everyone's just, I don't know. Yeah. This just goes back to, like, I guess one of I think something we both agree with, like, don't marry a coin ever. Yeah. Just, it has a purpose. It's an investment vehicle. Yeah. Know when you're on, know when you're out. Yeah. So.
Well, Solana pumped as well, right?
It did.
Solana pumped hard.
New all-time highs.
For 3 days into all-time highs in and around that Trump token being launched on Solana. We probably should have said that as well.
Actually, that's a big part of it.
It actually got launched on Solana, so huge volumes been pushed through there. And I mean, you could argue, like, would any network have held up with that type of velocity? It's definitely a good litmus test, or a good good criticality test for any network, I think. And it went down. Solana's had its issues over the years, even with a lot less volume, but it seemed to go pretty well up until kind of the start of this week.
The first 24 hours of it launching, it was fine, but it was post when everyone else started getting on it. I think that's when they had issues.
Yeah, and then obviously they're listing it on a lot more accessible platforms. Like I mentioned, Binance, Coinbase were starting to get it listed kind of a bit later after the other guys. So it was good test, and I guess one in the books for the Eth Maxis, as you said, Pav. But that's
tit for tat.
Interesting point.
Other than that, I don't really have too much else I guess we would discuss. Well, I mean, let's talk about personal strategies right now. What are you looking to do with the market and the shape that it's in? Are you doing anything, or just sitting tight?
So, what did I say last week? Just aligning myself. Yeah, look, continuing to DCA.
Yep.
It's boring. I am acquiring. I've got a list of about 5 to 7 assets that I'm pretty bullish on over the next 4 years. And I'm starting to think in like Trump term now, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do feel like the market will be relatively bullish. Again, not for 4 years. I'm not saying it's going to be bullish for 4 years, but I think there'll be a lot of opportunity for particular sectors over those 4 years. So it's really a DCA type strategy, continuing to, Bitcoin is still the long-term hold. It's all accumulation into those types of assets. I've kind of talked to you, and I've mentioned on the podcast before, I think the collateralization of some of these assets is going to be a big part of the future as well.
Definitely.
So a lot more. Actually, I've seen a news story. It's kind of related. A news story of a couple down in Melbourne, I believe, that were selling their house exclusively for Bitcoin.
Jeez. Okay.
Excuse me. So just as an example, when I talk about like collateral, I'm basically talking about using your crypto to like get a loan to go and like buy a house or buy a car or whatever it is. And I think these types of stories and these types of products are things that it's quite early for, but it's something we're going to see the narrative grow on. And I guess it just speaks to a new asset class and a new financial instrument of value that is starting to get more widely recognized than it is today, especially by the banking institutes and these types of operations. So yeah.
It's
What about yourself? What are you trying to do? Are you actually are you doing much on the kind of derivative side? Are you doing any kind of short-term leverage trading at the moment?
I was on the weekend, and then Trump coin came out, and I just sat on the sideline because a lot of the setups that I was in just got broken. Just liquidity just got washed out of everything. It was something I'd never seen that before, and everything just went straight into this coin. It was crazy.
That's a very key call out, because it's something that when I was looking through the SwiftX platform numbers, could see as a clear signal. Everyone was getting out of almost whatever they had to get access to this opportunity, and it was I've never seen it in that velocity before.
No, it was crazy. But for me, like, I did a bit more DCA in Bitcoin and Solana, to be honest. I already have, I guess, a majority of my altcoins that I built positions in October, so I'm kind of just sitting hands off on those. I'm kind of hoping that once this volatility is shaken, I can get into a bit more consistent swing trading. But right now, it's just keeping an eye on things.
Have you seen a market wash so heavily in such a small time period before that you can think of? I was thinking back to Doge Friday. Like we always talk about Doge Friday, where it pumped by almost 900%, which was insane in what 4 or 5 hours or something like that. That's the closest that I could think of like an asset that just absolutely that ripped, and then people had access to it, so they were getting in. But I can't remember back in those days just everything selling off at the same time, and it just seems like there was a liquidity shift from almost everything into the Trump coin, and that's what happened over the weekend. And like I said, we could see that in our numbers on the SwiftX side. Yeah. Can you remember something like that happening before? No,
not necessarily. Like, I'm sure maybe it has, but I haven't personally. Like, it was weird. That's all I could say. Like, looking at it technically on charts, it just, everything fell at a point where I was like, it could turn here, but it shouldn't turn like that. Like,
so you could almost at that point have shorted anything that wasn't Trump.
Yeah,
and it would have been a good trade.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah,
but like you said, I just thought it was a scam. I thought someone's hacked his account. Perfect. Like, we've seen the interns at work in the past. I just thought this was someone else.
You can't understate in a phrase or in a sentence what it sounds like. The President of the United States, hours before his inauguration, launching a Memecoin on Solana. Yeah. Like,
who thought that? Who got that? Who had that on their bingo card?
If you went back, if you even went back into the previous bear market, looking at Lee here, see if he would go back into the previous bear market. If you just said that sentence 3 years ago, we would have rolled over on the floor laughing and maybe walked out of the room. Like, it's just crazy. But it's similar to the ETF conversation. Post FTX, would we have thought there would have been an ETF in crypto within the next? I think we still had conviction.
Yeah, but the timeline is crazy.
The timeline
right now.
is what's just Sometimes we have to kind of stop and look at that timeline and go, shit.
Solana was $8.
A lot has happened in the last year, 18 months. But in the last year, even, it's been crazy. And that's the type of shortened timelines that put me on edge a bit, because they can also unwind very, very quickly.
We've seen that lots of times.
So, but I guess we did have a pretty long bear market. So I'm not saying that. I'm definitely not trying to wish for the ending of the bullish conditions. We did have an extended bear market. It was brutal. A lot of people got washed out or just gave up. Yeah, like you said. But we're back at all-time highs, all-time high sentiment, you'd have to say as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's mixed. I'm seeing a lot of people going, what's going on? They just don't understand it. So that's kind of, for me, that's less of a sign that it's a top, because if everyone was just uber euphoric, like just, oh my God, this is so good, this is so easy, I'd be more concerned at what's happening right now. Whereas a lot of people I'm talking to are quite angry. Why my altcoin's down so much and Trump coin is up so much? And why is Bitcoin making new all-time highs and what I'm in is going down so much? Like, I feel like the sentiment's the reverse of what I think I'd feel at a top.
It just goes to show that how important narrative is in this whole industry, right?
It's totally.
Narrative is, I guess, in anything really.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's not just this industry, but it is with such a liquid asset, with something that is so accessible.
Well, compared to like 4 years ago, this would have been completely different.
Exactly. And so everything is so mainstream now, and it is. Everything is so accessible. You can get in, you can get out in a minute on most exchanges with fiat ramps on and off. So it's just so accessible, right? There's so many more people getting onboarded. Like, I was just looking at some of the customer numbers. Like, everything is spiked, but the customer numbers getting onboarded is up massively as well over the last couple of weeks. So it's just, I guess, the barrier to entries are just a lot lower, and that just means that when the narrative shifts in a particular direction, boy does it go! It goes hard. So yeah, it's one to watch. It's such an exciting time, and I would say, I guess, people listening, like, just stick with it. Don't get too emotional at the moment. Like, think about the next 4 years and what that could mean, or even, people are saying we've got another, call it 12 months left in the bull market, 6 to 12 months left in this bull market. Think about that. Don't think about like, what's happened over the weekend or what's happened over the last couple of weeks. And it is easy to get caught up in that. I mean, I did myself even over the weekend. I'm like, holy shit, like, do I need to reassess my life here, kind of thing, right? And it is that kind of a impactful event. But it's zooming out and thinking about it long term is usually a relatively good strategy.
No, that's it. I think that's a good call. But obviously we're just itching to wait to see what happens between now and next week. I mean, pretty hard act to follow from what's happened already. So maybe some calm comes.
I would love a bit of nothing. That would be nice. Just a little bit of sideways.
So you can enjoy the tennis too then.
Well, that's right.
Tommy's going to the tennis down in Melbourne this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and check out the AO down in Melbourne tomorrow. So that'd be nice.
Nice.
And the temperatures are dropping, so
how good.
That's nice for the evening sessions.
Yeah,
we love it. So good to get down and visit some of the friends from when I lived down there.
Of course.
So that'll be good. But good session. I think important one to cover. And we'll be back again next week. Maybe Ted will be on board with us, and we can see how it's played out in that the week following Trump getting in.
Let's see what we got. All right.
Thanks guys.
Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye.